He's the chair, but I get the gavel at the moment, so I'm going to turn him loose on you.
As we go down here, you're going to see the major change is I've proposed a part-time assistant accountant. We'd plan to use a few contractors until maybe we would get into that sort of rainbow and unicorns of a better financial situation. Clearly, we can't wait for that. For a town this size, having just a town accountant and then a department assistant that is essentially a, you'd say an expense clerk on there, it's not going to work for the town. We need somebody else on board that can do some of the day-to-day data entry, also that can pick up some of the other slack when we're going into things such as closing the books at the end of the year, when we're going into with the Department of Revenue, and we need an experienced person in there as well. So the part-time assistant town accountant, $37,740. It could be aggressive on there. I can't tell you how many hours because that may depend on what sort of person we have going in there. We may have to pay a little bit extra to get the better person. On the conference call with the Department of Revenue, the accounting department is a concern for the Department of Revenue. So we need to give it as many tools as possible, because until we have the finances done, how can we really start fixing the rest of the town unless our finances are solid and all our accounting practices? So. You'll see the professional services line is still at a higher amount of the $25,000. My belief is if we do get the part-time assistant town accountant, we can reduce that some to offset the cost of the position, the assistant position, but we'd still want to set some money aside if we needed some outside help, but I don't want to rely on that anymore. And with that, I will open myself up to the chair.
Just first, let's start by saying you cannot continue to throw people at this problem. I don't believe that this is, the large majority of the problem is not personnel. I believe it's the system you're using. And I also believe that the size of this town, given, and you need, I don't know, have you been out to talk to other towns and seen some of the accounting software they're using, or the other one, I can't remember the name of it. Yeah.
Munis.
Munis,
yes.
Yeah. Have you seen how it operates? Because remember the lady, well, at one point we talked to someone.
Yep.
And what she told me was it takes less people to do the job if you have the right accounting system. And also, I think if we're going to improve our relationship with the DOR, one thing that would help improve this is an improvement in our accounting system. Because I've heard from the CPA firm as well as, well, that's really, I haven't been able to talk to DOR for obvious reasons, but that we could benefit from an upgrade in our accounting system. So I think whether or not, depending on what option we have to decide on this year, that's something we really need to explore, is not so much continuing to throw people at the problem, but looking at the accounting system and seeing what would it take to upgrade the system and make it a little more flexible. Because I think you have some talent here. It's just a question of, it's one thing to be doing this and the other thing to be molding clay, and that's where I think we're running into part of our issue. And I feel free to disagree with me because, we have in the past, but yep. I honestly believe that given the right tools that our accounting people are going to look a lot better.
Yeah, I think one of the things is Vadar is finally creating the PO system for the school, so the school and the town side, believe it or not, even though they have Vadar 1, the school side wasn't really operating as a true system for there. So you're talking about extra steps, and that is how you can literally lose hundreds of thousands of dollars and say, nope, we're clear on our budget, we're all set. If that PO system isn't functioning properly or isn't working, you don't know what you've actually spent. And that's where you can suddenly have $300,000 that you said, oh my gosh, we shouldn't have spent that. And it sounds like it shouldn't happen, and you're right. it shouldn't with a accounting system. So we have talked about looking into others. Part of it's all of the staff at the town hall have had training on Vadar. Now, every one of them will probably look you in the eye. I shouldn't say this, but tell you they don't know how to use it. And it's one of those systems, again, that unless you're working with it every single day, it's going to get past you. It's not the most operational friendly. I use it a lot, and I'm able to. I don't post to it, but I can extrapolate data and such. But unless you're really working with it, you wouldn't know which form to use, which one's a true indication of what your balance are, because some of the reports don't reflect some purchases, so it's a bit of a bear.
Other than that, push comes to shove. Oh, good, because I didn't want to say what I just said. Other than that, again, I can see where you're adding it back to create the help we need given the circumstances with the DOR and other things. But at the same time, I think it's a hard sell from the standpoint that we said we were going to reduce the amount of expenses by adding this additional position from the accounting side, and we're really not doing that if we do this. Yeah. So and I understand, it's just one of those things where we continue to try to fix the problem by working on the symptoms of the problem, but we don't fix the core problem that's causing it. And from our standpoint, we want good numbers too, because we're making decisions, or we're going to have to make decisions as far as advice on numbers that may or may not be accurate, and that's a very difficult thing, as well as the selectmen and yourself. So, maybe that's something we need to look at in short order is, what do we need to do to get in a system that's going to give us what we want as far as information? So,
Can you read the bubble over Derek's head? Which is, yeah, that's a nice thought, Larry, but how do we pay for it?
well, and again, that's my point. We're paying for it now. We're not having
We paid for it in the past.
No, we're paying for it. We're paying for it now. The conversation we had the other day with the Department of Revenue, we're paying for not having that system.
Oh, it's cost us hugely, because we've been through a lot of finger pointing, a lot of bad experiences in the accounting department, but in the 6 or 7 years that I've been sitting here, I've been hearing problems with the system, and at some point you have to realize it really is the system. So, another bitter pill to choke on, but if we're going to start to fix things, that's a real priority. You said it. We cannot get the house in order until we have valid numbers that we can have confidence in. So.
Yeah, I can't think of a worse thing is that I go before the finance committee or the selectmen and make statements, and they're incorrect because of bad data. It undermines everything we do.
So you probably, but I also, having been through transitions like this, I don't even want to think about what it's like to transfer from one system to another and the costs and the training involved, but.
That's nothing.
No problem. All right.
Finance committee line.
There you go.
What does the auditor say about this?
About the accounting system?
About the accounting system, and
we can always bring them in to ask them on there and have it go in front of the audit committee, I think is what's going to be the next decision.
We'll have that conversation with them as member of the audit committee, but that question was asked to the guy from Powers and Sullivan.
Craig, I think.
Craig, I can't remember his name, and his basic comment was, yes, it could be a problem. He won't. I don't think they're ever going to come out and give you a clear answer unless you ask them straight up, and it's not on camera. But I don't think they were really impressed with Vadar either. They didn't like the system. I think if you go back and read some of the management reports, because I think that part of that $900,000 problem that everybody talked about, if you go back and start reading through there, you might find that part of it is the system that we're using and how quickly it is to lose sight of something because it has to be entered a certain way in the system. So.
Bonnie?
I just have a quick question. It has nothing to do with you guys talking, but I got this extra sheet in here. I don't know what to do with it, so maybe you can answer the question. What is ADA coordinator?
That's the Disabilities Commission. Well, there should be
Veterans
about
disabilities
$400. No, just regular disabilities, so.
Handicap ramps and things like that?
Mhm.
No, but it was in her.
It's just a line that we have in there.
I
from
was
the
just,
budget.
I was trying to find that in the budget part and I couldn't see
Yeah.
it, so is it subbed under something else?
No, there's probably, you wanna know with the tabs? I didn't print out all the tabs, so I would have to
No,
look through
I'm
them,
looking
so.
at it along with the budget. and
Oh,
I
if you look at the
couldn't find
budget,
it.
and one of the last pages of the general government, so it should probably be 3 or 4 of 6. 4 of 6, you'll see Commission on Disabilities at the very top page.
Oh, thank you, it's not named the same, that's what I needed to understand, thank you.
Derek, a new accounting system, is that something that would be capital? Is that something that could be funded, bond funded?
I think you could borrow for that, because you're probably looking about a $400,000 to $500,000 investment for that. So, I don't know how many years you could go out for it. You might only be able to go out for 5 years or so. It would depend on what what they consider the lifespan of it. But we have been able to go out for technology and such, so I think we'd be able to borrow for that. And most places, I do think borrow for it, because it is a huge initial upfront cost.
Something to consider, definitely.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I appreciate it.
No problem. Good afternoon. Mary Ann Silva, Town Clerk.
Marianne has a special headache of directing 3 budgets
Yeah.
altogether.
3 small ones.
And we were trying to get together, and she was hunting me down pretty well to meet with me, so I appreciated that. Most people are avoiding me.
No, I don't do that. It's always a pleasure, Derek. Okay.
You want to just go, please go over?
Good afternoon. As Town Clerk, as Derek said, I'm responsible for overseeing 3 separate budgets: the Town Clerk's office, town meeting, and elections. When I set up my budget for this year, I tried to actually level fund. I think we all pretty well knew that things weren't that rosy. So, I don't know which one you want to start with.
Let's do town clerk first.
Sure.
Page 16 of 40 is the town clerk.
Okay, as you know, Donna Rhodes, who is my assistant, and Anita Mendes, they are in unions, so of course their salary is based on whatever the union contract provides. The step increases, we were told to also provide for a 2% increase, I guess, just in case. My salary, which I was a little shocked when I got my printout, because I had asked Derek for a 3% increase, because I was told that's what any employee that was with the town 10 years or more, which this year would be my 20th year, would probably be getting a 3%. So when I did see it, it just took me by surprise, Derek. So,
I'm trying to make sure you stay with us.
yeah, 2 more years. So basically that's that. I don't know if you want to discuss that.
Yeah, just to lead into that, there's the steel workers, if you were, as part of their contract that we signed, if you'd been with the town greater for 10 years, you were eligible for step 6, which is a 3% raise. Although an elected official, the Madam Clerk's position would essentially be a steel worker's position, and it made sense that position would be increased with her having more than 10 years as well. So it was it was in line of keeping within the union matrix, even though technically your position's elected, so it wouldn't be in there. So that was a choice that I made. It was not requested of me. So
And does that have to be, that has to be voted on by town
It
meeting?
sure does. Usually Article 5. Okay. Repair and maintenance. You have to understand, I still work off of the old system, so the new numbers sometimes confuse me. But what I do is usually under repairs and maintenance, we have a rental water cooler. That would also include the rental of my copy machine. We also have to pay a maintenance agreement, which the water cooler is $36 a year. The rental of the Canon copier is approximately $1,815 for the year. And the copier maintenance is $300 a year. We also have 2 typewriters in the office that we have serviced. And that should actually, it's actually, I think it's $75 a piece to have them cleaned and maintained during the year.
What's a typewriter?
Unfortunately, it's funny, people will ask us that. We have a lot of forms that the state has not caught up with technology, believe it or not. So we still have a lot of forms that it has to be typed. We have no choice. So, and someday, I hope, before I leave, the town will have enough money to get us into a system where these things will all be done on the computer. But until then, we have our 2 typewriters. So, and then I have the printing and mailing, which is our census. Derek did reduce it, which was good, because when I got the bill for this year, the postage was $3,500 instead of the $45 I asked for. So it actually was $3,555. To set up actually was reduced. It was only $1,700 instead of the $2,200. And the printing of the books, I would like to keep it $16 because we did not print any books last year because we had no money. And we are supposed to print the street list books. Minimally, even if it's 25 of them, we are supposed to print them, but we had no money in the budget to do that last year. Other purchase services or other professional, well, let's see what you have it under. Because I think you took that out of my budget.
yeah, we'd combined them together.
Did you, is that what you did?
Yeah, they're looking at, that was a combination of, I think, these 3
Okay.
on there. So this is still sort of when we're putting them back together
Okay.
with the old system.
I wasn't sure because I was a little bit nervous when I saw that because the clerk, we have the bonds by law, the 3 of us have to be bonded, and that is $100 for each one of us. We have the tag company for our dogs, which runs approximately $200 a year. And we have the university products, which is our vital record books. We have to store them, and they have to be stored in a acid-free, I don't know it's clear plastic, but it's acid-free so that it lasts a lot longer. Unfortunately, it's very expensive. It's $780. So, but it does provide the protection we need for our vital records. I also have my associations, my memberships that I pay. Office supplies, I asked for $2,200, but I'll take the $2,000. And travel and conferences, John explained to me, the dues are going to be
put in
with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions?
One of the interesting things about our departmental budgets is we vote them as pure salary and expenses at town meeting. So as such, they are a bottom line budget. So if you were to print these out, you may see in a department one of these lines to be overspent but surplus in another line. So then at that point, as long as the bottom line is positive, they've not overspent their budgets. So it gives the departments a little bit of flexibility that if they know one thing's going to run more than another, they can make those decisions during the year.
So what you're saying is the line items are a breakdown, an explanation,
Right.
and a budget tool. But if the mailing and postage costs more, and it comes out of office supplies, that's not a problem.
As long as there's
it's
enough
within
money to
expenses.
cover.
As long as the bottom line.
Right,
overall.
on the
Right.
overall.
Yep.
That's what we've been told, as long as that bottom line is not overspent,
Right,
so,
okay?
okay.
Are you doing this right? Okay.
Elections and registration,
Okay,
as you know, we do have three,
I'm sorry, page
Oh.
17 of 40.
we do have three elections. This is 2014, so 2013 was our off year. So this year we have a state primary on September, and I think it was moved to September 9th, and then I'm not sure, November 2nd or 4th. It's usually the first Tuesday of November is our state election. And of course, we have our town election that April. And I can't remember, I think it's the 6th, I'm not sure.
I thought it was April Fool's, was it?
No, that's this year.
Okay, yeah.
The next year might be the
Next year's-
4th, I'm not sure, haven't looked that far in advance, but.
And that's one of the reasons you'll see an increase versus FY14.
Right.
And those two extra elections, there's essentially nothing we can do about it, or there isn't. You know?
Actually, I have it right here. It says April 1st, 2015, September 9th, November 4th, and April 1st. Again?
That's
Can't
weird.
be right.
Yeah, I wouldn't think.
Must be a leap year. Is it a leap year? Must be.
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe there's a leap going on.
There's a leap going on. Okay, for the election budget, because we have 3 elections, we now only have, we have 6 precincts, but we only have 4 locations. So hopefully that'll reduce a little, because you don't need 2 police officers. You only need 1 police officer per precinct. And that is actually my highest expense, the police officers, other than, of course, your staffing. Registrars, we have 3 registrars, including myself, but I get the stipend, the $700 stipend, so I'm not included in this. I have 1 registrar that has been ill, so it's been 2 registrars that have been actually working. I do have 6 wardens, 6 clerks. I have 4 deputy wardens and 4 deputy clerks, which I'm hoping to fill those positions, and we have approximately 40 tellers. So our tellers do receive $8 an hour. Our deputy clerks and wardens receive $8.25 an hour. Our wardens, $8.50, and our clerks and our registrars receive $9 an hour. That also includes, they have to come in, like we have nomination papers out right now. They have to come in and certify those. So whatever amount of time it takes them to do that, they get paid for their time coming into the office. So, and of course, we have Donna and Anita that work overtime. We've gotten to the point that if we have a very slow evening, we generally they switch off. They're really good about it. One will go home so that we're not overspending. So if it's not very busy. State elections, that's a totally different town, as you can be, as you know, a little slow sometimes.
and that's what I was going to ask with regard to the town election. Is there a requirement that we have to have 4 polling places open? I mean,
Yes.
I know
We have 4 locations. They all have to be available to the voters.
all right, we can't consolidate further down. I know at one point we had 6. We've consolidated some of them. We
Right,
can't
which I
further-
have no problems consolidating.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. I mean, because most of our locations now you have to drive to anyway.
Right, but you have to find a building big enough to house when you start consolidating.
Okay.
And right now, we have 4 and 5 at Deacon's
Yep.
at the gym, and we have 6 and 3 at Minot Forest in the gym. Precinct 2 is at Hammond, which there is no charge. Kenny has not charged the town to use the building. And Precinct 1, which is at Town Hall.
There's online voting, right, or voting, advanced voting?
Hold on.
Didn't they just approve?
They did, but we have not received word as to when that's going into effect. Not in a rush for that. That's going to be fun. You can, it is going to be fun. You can vote absentee, of course, if you're not going to be in the town, but what you're talking about is totally different now.
Yeah.
It's going to be very different. So, printing and mailing, we don't print the ballots for the state elections. Of course, you know the state does that, but we have to print the ballots for the town election. And by law, you have to print a ballot for every registered voter in your town, whether or not they show up for the election. So I have to print 15,500 ballots. So that's why it can be expensive.
And we usually get how much is the turnout?
It depends what's actually on the ballot. I bet you they'll turn out this year because we have the question,
Yep.
the snow removal.
The question.
We have a
I was gonna say,
question on the
what
ballot.
question?
Yeah. So they'll probably, it'll probably be a higher volume. Generally, it's only been like 2,200, 2,500. So,
Who's gonna know how many you print?
So, Tom, let's not say that on record, please.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the same
we on
thing. That's
TV?
my thought bubble,
Yes,
but
yes, yes, he didn't ask that.
he didn't say that, but,
How dare you say that to Madam Clerk?
okay.
wow.
Never mind.
The other purchase services is coding the touch marks. We have the machines that, by law, because of ADA regulations, have to be at each precinct, and you have to code the machine, which they can vote. It has the,
Braille.
thank you, the Braille. Somebody that, you know, is, you're elderly, it has the hearing, the, what do you call those?
Headphones.
Earphones.
For the hearing impaired.
So they can sit at the table, and it has to be up and running at the precincts. We have to code the AccuVote machines, which is the machines that you slip the ballots into. So. We do provide lunch for our workers, based on the fact that, are we paying the minimum
The
wage?
$8 an hour, they can have lunch, I guess, that's.
It's
Yeah.
also for some of the elections and such, you don't want the people leaving and going out and coming back.
Right. They are.
Yeah.
State elections, it's 15 hours. Town elections, it's about 12. So it is a long, long day.
I think they deserve a bowl of chowder, you know? I mean, if
I
you're
have
gonna
to be
be there all
honest with
day.
you. I've been very fortunate because they are dedicated people. There is no doubt about
And they
it.
have great personalities. Most of them
Oh,
are
I'm good.
not grumpy for being there for that period of time,
I'm
just
glad
so
to
you know.
hear that.
And a little bit of gruel isn't costing us too much.
And actually, Mill Pond does it for us, and they've always kept it, you know, reasonable.
nice.
So that's elections. We'll travel. I haven't put in for that yet. I really should. I do a lot of traveling on that day, so. I always forget. I'm not going to do that this year. So. And then we have town meeting. And town meeting basically stays the same unless
Lucky number one of 40.
Is this for both town meetings that we're anticipating this year?
yes.
All right.
The quicker we get them done, of course, the more
cheaper it
money we
is.
save.
Well, that's our goal too as well, but
So the only item on this would be other professionals, and that's the cot services. We used to have a lady in town that always used to call us for the cot services, and unfortunately, she passed away, and we have not had anyone that I know of call for cot services. So,
Say, what is that? I'm sorry, am I,
cot services, they do the sign,
oh, okay, thank you.
the sign languages. So they, sign language, they,
I think Nelson Mandela funeral.
We'll get him.
well, I don't think he knew what he was saying,
Yeah,
right? He was having fun. It's a scary thought when you think about it, to be that close to the president.
Of the United States.
That's
yeah.
right, so.
You know, one of the things that we had an interest in, I'm sorry, it's sort of a side tangent, is we're trying to see if we can't get, the GATRA to help out with transporting some people to the town meeting. Some of the seniors have stated they're unable to bring themselves there and such, and it might be worth it, see if GATRA could try and do that. I think it'd be something interesting, because they feel a little disenfranchised and not able to get there, so.
And we do receive phone calls from the elderly asking if there's anybody providing transportation. Because that is one of my biggest complaints. They tell me they would go, they would attend, but they're not gonna drive
At night.
at night, that time, by the time we get out of there
Walk that
sometimes.
distance in.
Exactly. So that would probably be a very good idea. Keep you on for another couple of years. But actually, that's it for me. So I don't know if you have any questions.
Go ahead, Bonnie.
I'm just asking Derek, you got this other thing on the side here, and now I'm not sure I'm reading this correctly. The,
That's what's the total that he put on the original?
Yeah, if you look at that, that's the total amount that we have for personnel. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
not how many people employed in the clerk's office.
No. There's only 3 of us.
We'd be in trouble.
With regard to town meeting, and again, I apologize, I'll make this brief because it's late in the day and we're tired, but something that occurred to me in discussion recently, we've seen fewer and fewer participants in town meeting and in town government overall. And I remember back in the day that we used to send the warrant out, and the warrant got mailed to everybody in town. Did it not?
That was done through the Finance Committee.
Yeah. And whether people came or not, they were at least educated as to the issues and what was going on, and then it really was shame on them. And I don't know what the cost would be to do that again. Does not look like something that we could afford to do.
If
But-
memory serves me, I think it was like $7,400 or $7,500
$100.
at one point.
What year was that, 74?
Well, Patrick was on the Finance Committee. That's why I'm thinking back. I
All right.
remember they used to send it out.
Okay, thank
So-
you.
Probably double that now.
I'm sh-
Maybe in a, I'm sorry, I don't
ahead.
get yelled at by Bob. Maybe in the format we print it in, it would be expensive, but possibly an alternative format.
Like
I know
Font
that.
size of legal notices.
It-
We
well-
can do it on 4 pages.
Yeah, I know, I understand, yeah, exactly. I mean, it could be reduced into that fashion, but certainly people, could read it more comfortably at home than they can, sitting in a dark, semi-dark room. It has to be a font that they can read in that light. But at home might be a different sort of format, a condensation of the material.
Or if they care, they can go on the website. So I'll just,
Yeah, they can do
that
that
will
as
be
well.
future discussion that we'll have.
Yeah, because if we did, I think it's up to what, 47 cents it's going to be now for
I know just increased.
yeah, at 15,000 people, $7,050, and that's to send a letter, not
A one
Yeah.
ounce.
So, I mean, I was thinking
Not a
even,
booklet.
yeah, what if we sent out, please check out online, but we do let it know through WCTV covering your meetings, the selectmen's meeting, we put it up on the marquee, we have it on the town website, it's in the local newspapers, so
But it's not
understand.
sitting on your counter where you have to pick it up and put it in the trash.
Yeah.
And before you put it in the trash, you look through it. And
Yeah,
I
the
just,
budget gets printed in the local newspaper. I believe the warrant gets printed in that
has
as
to
well.
be, yes.
too. Yeah. So
does the budget get
Is it-
printed too?
Is it
Yeah,
the
we do.
warrant, or is it the financial package we do for town meeting?
No, it's
Because I
the-
think there's a huge difference between
Yeah.
the warrant and.
It's the
and-
warrant.
No, it's the warrant.
It's the warrant that
Yeah.
gets printed and sent out.
Because if I have a change, I have to send a copy to the Attorney General.
Yeah,
So-
that makes a big difference, but again, you're not going to, hopefully, I mean, that would be really scary to have 15,000 people show up to town meeting. I mean, it'd be a great thing, I'm sure. We'd have overflow in every classroom at the high school, plus going into the middle school, but,
usually you see pitchforks and stuff.
Sorry,
you get
sorry
that
to bring
many
it up.
people
We used
around.
enough time on it. Thank you.
No, but it does have merit, and she did mention that, and I think it's something they used to do to reach all the people, whether or not, and then if we had GATRA bus, maybe some of those people would come. Any chance we have an opportunity where it's cost efficient for us to reach the people, that's what we need to do.
Well, I think a big part of that is the transportation.
Yeah, we
I
can see
believe
about that, because we've lost the interest of the people, and we need it not just for a quorum, but to make the right decisions that affect so many people in this town, so.
Exactly.
So I appreciate, believe it, Mary Ann takes so many requests from us and has to do so much research, and it's always I'm asking for certified this or that, and she helps out so much, so I appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Thank you.
Have a good afternoon.
Administrative, selectmen, legal, COA, general, and other. Which one you want to do first?
If we want to go through the COA real quick, I
Sure,
think that's
where's it at?
that's page 30 of 40.
Good enough.
You'll see on there, the FY15 other is we receive a grant every year, the Elder Services Grant, as well as you'll see the Social Daycare Coordinator. We now have that position will be starting to be paid out of the revolving account for social daycare. So you'll see a total of $78,690. That's paid from the Elder Services Grant, which is approximately, should be about $43,000. And then the rest is from the social daycare account. Number 30 or 40.
There's not a lot of money in there.
And that account has, I think the social daycare is currently 90,000, about 93,000 in it. So,
So when I'm looking here, I've got a director, an office manager, an outreach coordinator that are paid through the town, basically.
correct. And the director position is proposed. We don't currently have that funded.
25
and-
hours?
Yeah, that would be 25 hours. I don't know if we can get it for that, and we have to look at it and decide what we want to do with this department, because right now, it's not serving or doing very much for the seniors, to be blunt. So,
Okay.
the repairs and maintenance, you've got other professional, which is they hire some of the entertainers and such to come through. I'd like to have a little bit more money in there. The office supplies you also have some of the arts and crafts supplies as well, and advertising, some of the dues and membership. The advertising, in all departments, you'll see an advertising line, although we do charge most of the advertising to the general services. However, if you don't have an advertising line within a department, you can't ever charge for that. So let's say our general services, we are maxed out, we don't have any more money in in that account, you can't do anything else until you go to town meeting to make a change, even if one of your departments had a surplus or was running well. So, so this is mainly what the Council on Aging. The daycare, senior daycare takes up most of the elder services grant. You'll see at least 3 positions at $5,900 each, and some of the other help. The office manager's position is also partially charged off till the elder services grant. If we had more money in there, we could use that grant for more activities.
What is the amount we're getting now, the grant, did you say?
I believe it's approximately $43,000.
And that's
So
based on what?
that's based on your population and what they're funding it at for the rate. So we have not abnormally, we have a larger than usual senior population, so we receive good funds from that. Every year we have to put out all the information for it, and you'll see there's 2 funding columns of an A and a B, and we've been able to get the B funding, which is always at a higher amount. So right now it's predominantly used for a lot of the staffing itself. So if you look at, if we're receiving $43,000 in grants and using some of the revolving accounts, we have a department that is almost 50% funded from other sources. Right now, I'm serving as the de facto director, so a lot of the information will go through my office. If the heat downstairs isn't enough, I'll get the calls directly to my office on it. So it's an interesting setup.
Can you utilize the Council on Aging Board of Directors for any help on this? Can you, or?
Excuse me, I shouldn't have put that donut in my mouth.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
We haven't had much interaction with the board over the last months and such, so I would think that's something that's also where the director really comes in, and being able to have the time to set up the meetings with the COA board and having them all engaged with one another for the best function for the seniors. And we're missing out on that. So.
Now, this also covers social services, does it not?
Correct. Yes. And so social services, we're not really. I mean, we've essentially the social services was really put in there previously, and besides the food pantry that we'd had, which we closed, there's really effectively no other social services. I mean, we've got the Board of Health that provides certain social services and such, and we can't even really maintain or help the seniors, which is the primary function, and adding this extra duty on top of it, it's just not going to work. So,
Questions from the board? Well, at this point, I think you got general and other. Is that also included in there?
yeah, general. Let me see if I can find the line for general services. General services is 11 of 40.
Derek, just to go back a minute, on the Council of Aging, have you advertised for director or?
No, I don't. If I were a betting man, I would say that position's probably not good. We're $2.5 million in deficit right now. I would think that's one of the positions that probably wouldn't make it. But I think we need to put forward what we could do better for the seniors. So. General services. This is, when you're going down there, you've seen postage in a lot of the accounts, but we have massive amounts of postage that come out of the town hall, including some of the excise bills and other such funds. I've increased it to $48,000. Historically, we've been close to the $48,000 mark, so we probably would want to increase that. We have lowered over the last 2 years how much mail we've been sending out. We're doing more of the announcements online or through TV. It is nice to receive something by mail, especially from the town. However, I think it's a new world where it's more of a function. Yeah, if it's a bill, you probably don't like receiving that from the town. But that's the postage, equipment and rentals. The general services, you'll see we have a postage room, which has a copier in there. That's the copier rental. That's a higher end one. Advertising, again, we have to advertise for bids, for other positions, you can run the gambit of it. Even, let's say we had to have a third or fourth town meeting and there's no other funds available, we can use this fund. Other purchase services is also we have a postage machine, which saves us time from employment cost, and we also, that can be FedEx and other such items. This is one of the ones that you'll see the increased request by 10,000. We've been running in the red on this almost every year. We've had to put money in there, so it's time we fund it with what our costs are.
Other purchase services, what is that?
That is, we have the postage machine. We also have some of the FedEx in there as well.
So the line for postage is just the actual cost.
Yeah, for the printing and mailing. This department as well with that printer. Also, there's large amounts of paper that get used in there. That copier is by far the fastest and best, and it's where we're running off these packets today, even though it was giving me fits this morning. So, we've also done away with the copy machine in the accounting office, and it's almost done out of the planning, and since they're right by there, we're going to have them use that machine primarily to try and cut down, so we don't have three leased machines within probably a 20-foot radius of one another. So, all right. The next up, we can go.
Well, hold on. Monty wanted.
No, he sort of answered it with his
Okay.
explanation, so I'm good.
All right, if we go to administration, which is number 3 of 40, The first line is my salary. It is at that mark because it's halfway between the contract years. My contract starts in January, so it's in the middle of fiscal years. Administrative assistant. The administrative assistant does the health insurance for all the employees, as well as tracking and paying those bills, and that's including the school. Does the general insurance liability with Maliyyə, as well as making sure that we have all the fleet schedules on there. She also does the workers' comp, and I was just thinking of, we just mentioned it before, she also, a lot of the procurement, she's the one that accepts all the packages from everyone and helps make sure that things are put in the newspaper properly and such. As well as she helps me with the day-to-day activities in the office. So that position has worn many hats, and I've been well served by the assistant. And we have a second departmental assistant that's 32 hours that also does the payroll for the town and a lot of the benefits for the employees, as well as processing the new ones in and setting up the interviews and such. So that's also a position that wears many hats, and when one's out, we try and coordinate to make sure that there's at least one of those people in the office at every time. Because you can imagine when everyone's gone, it can get a little hectic. Special project and interns. We're looking to bring interns on to do some of the projects. Some are going to be able to be paid by some of the universities. Some will not. Instead of hitting this off, even though they may not be working directly for administration, I just felt this was a proper place to place it, since any of the interns coming in would have to be done through my office. A longevity is for one of the employees. Deferred compensation is a 457B plan, of which I believe it's 4% of the salary gets put away into that plan, and that's by contract. Professional services, you'll see I also have a larger line item on that. Besides the general ones we have, it's often that from my office there'll be projects that get put together, and they're going to cost money. I wanted to start doing, which we froze this year, was hiring out and having people do studies to help us with the budget items. Like, what if we did a revenue-based budget and allocated the revenues versus some of the costs? It's things that we've been able to put together, but can't really do all the lines. Now, could we get it as the interns? Yes, you could probably use the interns on here, but this is one of the areas to put the money, and you'll see as in this year, if it doesn't materialize, it usually isn't spent. However, sometimes we're at the department head meetings and there's special projects that they'd like to have. And I have used out of my own budget some of those projects to make sure they got forward if we thought it was something that was well worthwhile. So I can tell you out of that $8,000 that probably, $6,000 of it is available for other projects. So you could call it for that and then use it. So. Office supplies, the advertising, again, we've kept a lot of the advertising from my department. If I can use all of that, the $3,000 for the procurement, then we don't have to hit from the general services, which, as I've said, has been routinely going into deficit. And then the dues, membership, travel, and conference are what they are. It's the Mass Municipal Association, as well as the annual meeting. I've chosen for two reasons not to do travel reimbursement. One is I feel part of my job to travel. I haven't been doing it enough, I don't think, for the town, and I should attend more of these meetings to help go beyond the borders of the town and the need. And the second, I drive a Prius, so it's just pure profit. So I don't, I wouldn't feel right. So. And that's essentially the budget. If you go on it historically, we're still lower than we have been in the FY13 and FY12 numbers, but this is where we stand currently.
Are both of the assistant positions filled at this point?
Yes.
So you're not looking for an additional assistant?
No, there seems to be some scuttlebutt around that I've looked to hire a new position or I've posted for one. If anyone can bring me that posting, I would love to see it.
Yeah,
So-
that's what I thought. Thank you very much.
I get confused when I go up there because I don't know, it's like I don't know who works for the selectman's office and who works for your office. I get all confused.
Yeah, and one of the things we're looking to do is move the CETA office downstairs. And then I can move my two assistants into what's the selectman's office, have the center office where one of my assistants has a pure meeting room. You can have a buffer in between, and then have the selectmen's room move across the hall. And, we just sort of create a dividing line on that. But I have to say, I really appreciate the two assistants I have and the two departmental assistants in the selectman's office. They work well together, and there's a lot of times where all four of them have to be grabbed to work on the same thing to get it done. And they also coordinate with one another to make sure that even if the two people in my office or in the selectman's office do have to be out for whatever reason, that they're in to have some sort of coverage. So, did I get my little Grammy song?
Well, actually, what's happening is, the music's starting to play and you're about to get cut off. We have about 10 minutes left, and I'm okay with going over that, even though it won't be taped, if that's what we need to do. But I think we're almost at the end, so if anybody has any questions on the administration, we can move on to the selectmen and legal.
Okay, I got nothing.
All right, selectmen and legal.
The selectman office, that's the
Sure, for the last few minutes, take the glory.
two departmental assistants on there. They also do everything from the events to the liquor licenses to setting up the selectmen's agendas. They wear many hats on there, and they're often the front lines for complaints and such. Again, the printing and mailing. There's some items that the selectmen do directly. Office supplies. They are essentially what they are. You'll see the dues and memberships at travel and conferences. The MMA dues for the selectmen, which you want to have them on board, run roughly almost that whole amount. So they're costly for the town, but that's part of it. And then the traveling conferences, as we're lucky to have some of the selectmen that do attend the conferences and have been able to bring monies back to the town, as well as plans and other ideas. So.
Any questions on selectmen? Okay, legal.
All right. What do we have left on there?
Historical. Audit.
Yeah, the next one, I'm sorry, my computer died on me for the
12
schedule.
or 40.
What's that?
12 or 40. You lose that
Where are
one?
we? On what?
I might have with all my papers. Which one did we say it is?
12.
No, the name of the department, which
It
department?
just says legal services.
Oh, legal. Well, I don't even need to look at it. I can tell you that you'll see there's two of them on there. One is for the contract for the town council, Richard Bowen, which is a flat fee of $180,000. Then we have a second one, which is Labor Council, Joe Emerson. His is $40,000. Last year we had to put a little extra money in because of all the contracts. We are still projected at being under budget on the $40,000 this year. I would love to get all the contracts out for multi-years, because that's one of the things you don't need labor council as much for that. So again, town council is a flat fee, and labor council is on a separate rate. So
Do you always use the same labor council, the same office?
this is the same one that we've had now for about a year, and the selectmen and myself have been very happy with the representation.
And
on
that's,
that.
and how many contracts does he do for that $40,000? The whole year?
Yeah, we have 11 contracts that we have with, throughout the town.
Also,
And we're in arrears multiple years.
comp claims and the rest too, right?
We also have other items. We've also had the firings and such. You'll see as well that we have, we have had to fire or lay off multiple people, and, it can always happen, but we have not had the same legal issues that we had in the past. And I think part of that is from the listening to the good advice from Labor Council and such, and following the directions. So, although there can be a lot of money, I think it's paying dividends and saving us overall on there, and just being smart about how we handle ourselves.
How is this plan factored in? I mean, I've been on the Finance Committee 6 years, and back in the beginning, we had huge legal costs. And, I mean, it was always presented that some of that had to do with, zoning issues and land courts and all this other stuff. So are we still getting those bills, or are they being put into something, a department themselves? How is that factoring in?
Not Labor Council, excuse me, Town Council under the flat fee does handle that as well. He subs out to John Witten, who I believe planning and zoning really enjoys, and then he pays him directly. So that 180,000 covers that as well. They do have some extra money in their budgets in case they wanted to go to something else and not use the town council, but that's being covered by the 180 as well. So
Okay, thanks.
we do ask that they call town council first in case he can answer the question before going to the next one.
Any more questions? Last chance, going once, going twice. First, I want to thank you for, I think it was when we first talked about it, it was a lot to do in one day, but we apparently got through it.
Yeah.
And also I think it helps when you have a crew like this that shows up in force. So give ourselves a hand on that one. Now we're down to the reality. We saw a little bit about what people are looking for and what they mean as far as their services. And I think a lot of good questions were asked, but the reality is 2.493264. That's the reality we face. So we're looking at several, what we're going to have to do is go back and discuss this in our meetings, as well as with the next Tuesday. We'll discuss it with the selectmen as well as the school, and then we'll come up with a plan for addressing it. But what I saw today was a lot of departments that are scaled back, in some cases scaled back to the point where it's not advantageous for them to grow any further. They can't. Yep. They're stymied by that, and I think we've seen a lot of services in this town that maybe have been diminished to a certain degree already. And if we consider the 2.493, it could be a long, hard road ahead for all of us. So I appreciate your time, and I guess we'll see you Tuesday and next Wednesday, and we'll get into the real meat now at this point. So, and then thank to all the department heads. They certainly all did a good job with their presentation to the Finance Committee as well. So thank you.
Thank you, and I appreciate your time and the committee's time making it available, and the questions as well. So it's informative, and I appreciate.
Like you have a pretty good lineup of department managers.
Yep, we do. We're lucky to have them. So we're trying to keep everybody.
Nobody seemed to be afraid of you this year, so
I got to change that. I got to do something different.
No, I think one of the things we did see this year, where we haven't seen as much in the past, is there seems to be that attitude that they're doing everything they can, and they believe you're doing everything you can. So there's the spirit of working together. Yep. And so I especially I didn't see all the police because I had something else I had to do, but I think that was a very telling budget as well. We got more depth and knowledge on that one than I think we have in the past as well. So.
Yeah, and there is a level of frustration where I think everybody's seen, but it's not pointed in any directions or fingers. It's the situation. We don't have enough money, but we're going to work through it as best we can, and that's the tough thing. So.
Any final?